All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Quibbles Over Coffee. And today
We're
I
talking
am
about the
still
Republican
Houston.
Party. Oh, I'm Jonah. We're talking about the Republican
We're
Party.
talking about the Republican Party.
Houston, I think they suck.
You do? Do
Yeah.
you? Really? You know what? I think they are terrible.
You think they suck also?
Yeah,
Houston, here's a
it's pretty
question.
bad.
Here's a question, Houston.
Okay.
Why do they suck?
For a multitude of reasons. Um, First one being that they're literally evil, um,
Mm.
which is a problem.
Mm.
And I think we'll unpack that later on the episode. But the first one being that they're evil. Second one being that um they're not really representing the people. They're kind of
Mm.
taking advantage of, first of all, their power, and second of all, which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily, but they are taking advantage of their power, and they're also like fucking over the rest of the country.
I would agree.
Right. And I think the last thing is that they kind of put themselves on a moral pedestal above everyone else and think that the rest of the country should conform to their moral beliefs, which is
Wrong.
bullshit. Right.
What it is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think those are the three main reasons why the Republican Party sucks.
These are valid reasons. I support
Yeah.
all of these reasons. Yeah.
What are your reasons?
So, okay. I think you hit the nail on the head on all of your reasons.
Okay.
Here's my other reason. They're fucking cowards.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
They're such cowards.
Right.
So, okay, I have an example of particular cowardice that I would like to discuss because it's been eating away at my heart.
Cool. I think this for both of us, it's gonna be like a
catharsis episode. It's a catharsis episode.
Yeah, for sure.
This has been eating away at my heart.
Okay.
I have a minor from the Institute of Politics Studies at Carnegie Mellon.
Okay.
It was created. Oh yeah, thank you. I haven't finished it yet, but ideally I will have it soon. But I haven't finished it yet, so I'm close to getting it.
Okay.
It was started by Kiron Skinner. Kiron Skinner is a very, 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 very smart woman, extremely intelligent. She literally there was no department, and in a matter of after she worked for the W. Bush administration, and just in the time since the W. Bush administration was over, which is not that long a period of time, she was able to. So that's 2008? Yeah, 2008 onward. She was been able, Baby Bush, right? She's been able to create a department in 12 years that I think is a really very strong department.
Cool.
And so I have a lot of respect for her.
Mm-hmm.
She then worked for Trump. She spent all of, I believe it was 2018, working for Trump. And she was an advisor to Pompeo, to the Secretary of State, and she was extremely important in that capacity. Okay.
Right.
So she is obviously a component of MAGA land. She's obviously, very high up in MAGA world, right?
Sure.
In the Make America Great Again faction of the Republican Party. Okay. Here's my issue. When the Capitol is invaded by terrorists,
fascinating premise.
I believe, hear me out.
Okay, I'm listening. I got my
ears
when
you are the head
open.
Of a department.
Yeah.
At Carnegie Mellon University.
Mm-hmm.
Responsible for international relations.
Mm-hmm.
And for public policy.
Right.
You should be able to universally condemn it.
Yeah.
That is a viewpoint that I hold.
Yeah.
You should be able to say, this equal bad.
Yeah. I'm guessing she didn't do that at all.
Not only did she not fucking do that.
Okay.
She said something about like So for context, the only reason I know this is because there was an exchange between a bunch of faculty members about the attack on the Congress.
Because of course there was.
Because of course there was. And in it, one of my faculty members, I don't know who, because their name was redacted, sure, asked Kiron Skinner, whose name was also redacted on the email exchange, but it was very obvious who Kiron Skinner was.
Sure.
Kiron Skinner, look her up on Wikipedia. Don't harass her on the internet. But also I'm very mad at her. I'm very, very mad at her. And she is not too stupid to know this. She definitely knows what fucking happened. She definitely the Biden won. She's not fucking stupid. She's a really smart woman. Okay.
Right.
Any assumption that is built on the premise that Kiron Skinner is not a smart woman is a fucking stupid premise. You're a fucking idiot. Sure. She's very intelligent. Okay. So Kiron Skinner, she fucking I guess this whole episode is just about Kiron Skinner now, which is fine. I'm okay with that. It was originally supposed to be all of the Republican Party, but I'm gonna shit on this for a little bit. Then we're gonna go to the broader Republican Party. But we're gonna start here because this is what I care about, and I'm very upset.
I think starting personal and having legit concrete facts about what is fucking wrong with the Republican Party.
We're building out from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fucking Capitol building was fucking invaded by people who literally had shirts on that says 6 million wasn't enough. They literally had shirts on that said Camp fucking Auschwitz. They literally had Confederate flags. For context, she's a black woman. Okay. Right. And like this woman was like, oh, there were good people on both sides.
Damn it, Kiron.
I'm like, Dr. Skinner, you're wrong. Dr. Skinner, when they're fucking taking down the American flag from the Capitol building and putting up a fascist Trump flag, they're not good people. They are bad people.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're bad people.
Right.
And then one of the professors asks Kiron Skinner, hey, do you believe we're going to pull up this fucking email? Because I am so fucking triggered. I can't even.
Jonah, I don't even want to, part of me does not want to know what she says.
You know what? You're going to see it. You're going to see it.
Not only going to hear it, I'm going to see what this woman wrote.
Shit. Oh, no. You're going to see this shit. First, we're going to pull up the Dropbox.
Come on, Kiron. Like, Kiron's her name, right? Did I get that right? It's Kiron?
Kiron Skinner.
Right. Yes. Come on. Like, you're smart. Okay. You should know what are terrorists.
She knows what a terrorist is. She's making the conscious decision not to admit what a terrorist is. Okay. Quoted from the book. For the latter reason, and perhaps that alone, Trump got elected. Do we all agree that he lost the 2020 election? This is asked by one of the faculty members, presumably one of the faculty members, for context, who works for Dr. Skinner, because she's the head of the department.
Sure.
She started the department.
Right.
And this is the question.
Okay.
This is the answer. Oh yeah, if anyone's a fan of Dylan Burns didn't get back to me, and I'm very upset. Okay. Dear blank, we don't know who the person is because their name is redacted. This is from Skinner. If you mean we at CMU, I think that most of us would say Trump lost in 2020, but I don't think that every single person at CMU would say so. That's not a fucking answer, Dr. Skinner. We're asking, do you believe that Trump won the election? Because you worked literally as an assistant to Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of fucking State. You are the head of the department, okay? And spoiler alert, she's also someone who hired Richard Grinnell, who is a terrible, evil man who we will talk about at a later date. Okay. Actually, today. We're going to talk about today because fuck Richard Grinnell. Okay. Okay. I don't know that every single person working at person at CMU would say so. If you're talking about the American electorate, then this is another matter. This is why there's a serious talk of the Biden administration forming a bipartisan elections commission, which is ridiculous because we already have bipartisan election commissions and have already done all this shit. And we've already come to the conclusion that there was no sizable election fraud whatsoever in any state. the entire union. Also, he won by 73 Electoral College votes. It wasn't fucking close. He won by 7 million fucking voters. It wasn't fucking close. Fuck off, you little piece of shit. I fucking hate you. Okay, too much. She's very smart. She's not doing this because she doesn't know who won the election. She knows damn well who won the fucking election because she's a lot smarter than the vast majority of people on Earth. Okay.
Anyway.
It is badly needed. Many of the people in CMU's backyard don't believe the election was legitimate. We didn't ask that. We asked you. Because you are the head of the department. And then she decides to talk about how, like, oh, AP American government isn't good enough for IPS majors, which is like so obviously not the fucking question.
Right.
So obviously doesn't fucking matter. So the question is, okay, Kiron Skinner knows who won the election. She's not a stupid woman. I know many of the people in the audience might not know her, but I promise you, she is a smart person. She really is a smart person. And so the idea that she came to this conclusion because, like, she just doesn't know who won the election. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's still up for debate. It's a debate.
It's a debate, you know? That's not the reason. The reason is because she recognizes correctly that if she said yes, there was.
Yeah.
That would get her in trouble.
Yeah.
If she said simply Biden won the election, that would get her in trouble.
Yeah.
And if she said simply that Trump won the election, that would get her fired. So instead what she does is she says, okay, I will do neither of those things.
Yeah.
I'm going to take on this middle position where I say, I don't know. Some people think Trump won. Some people think Biden won.
Yeah.
As though it's a both sides thing.
Yeah.
She's
as if there's an opinion to have on like who won the election.
Right. She's able to protect herself from the consequences from either side.
Right.
And I think that's the danger. When you look at the smart money of the Republican Party, when you look at the Ted Cruz's, when you look at the Kiron Skinners, when you look at the Richard Grinnells, who I'll talk about in a little bit, these are people who know damn well where the Republican Party is going, better than I do, better than you do. And they are almost across the board taking the side, or at least tacitly accepting the existence of people who are straight up lying about the election. And
about a variety of things.
That is a really dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
Because I understand, like, I totally recognize why. I don't think that, like, Dr. Skinner is a grifter, right? I don't think that she, like, does what she does because she hates America and she's a traitor. No, I think she does what she does because she genuinely believes in a bunch of international affairs conservative beliefs. And I think that she recognizes correctly that in order to get her conservative beliefs done on a foreign policy level, she has to ensure the Republican Party maintains power moving forward. And in order for the Republican Party to maintain, or at least regain rather, power in the future, she needs to ensure either that the Trump side of the party or the non-Trump side of the Republican Party is in control. And obviously, she worked on the non-Trump side before. She worked for Bush. She worked on Romney's campaign. She's worked on in that side of the faction before. But, like, she works for Fox News, right? And it's up in the air where Fox News is going to go in the future. She works for a whole host of components of this whole world. And for her to decide, like, I don't know, there's a reason she's doing that.
Right. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I think I have this discussion with my mom oftentimes where something crazy that some Republican is doing comes in the news and she's like, why would these people align themselves with him? Why would they not say that the election was rigged? Like what do they do? Like Trump must have something against them, or like but I keep trying to tell her, and I keep trying to explain to her that it's just they want to stay in power. They're doing what they think will allow them to lay down their moral views on the people in the long run, and what's going to allow them to keep being able to have control of the government. And right now they think it's with Trump, and they have planned this out more than we have, to say that, yes, I'm going to flip-flop, I'm going to wishy-washy, and I'm not going to say one side or another because I don't want to lose my power. And I think you're right. It's about power, and it's about their control over the government.
Right. Right.
And it's annoying. It's ridiculous. Because, like, who the fuck said that you deserve the power over, like, the government? Like, why should you...
Yeah.
like what? Like,
Yeah.
who are you to tell us what we should do with our lives? Like, excuse me?
Right.
I don't think so.
Right. Okay. So the second person I need to talk about is Richard Grinnell.
Okay. Ew.
Oh, I know. I so agree with you. It's not even funny.
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck is this guy? Let's make this big. This is Richard Grinnell. Richard Grinnell is also on my staff.
Acting Director of National Intelligence.
Yes. That's a cabinet level position.
Oh, dick.
He's the first gay man ever
dick.
in the history of our country to be openly gay and a member of the cabinet. He was also, like Kiron Skinner, this is where they met. He was he worked for the Romney campaign in 2012. So he is likewise a very smart person.
Sure.
He's been spending since the election, lying publicly throughout the country about the election.
Right.
Constantly.
And he's the intelligence guy?
He's the intelligence guy. He's been lying. He's been open. He's been anti-mask. He has been literally making fun of students at Carnegie Mellon for our belief that, like, hear me out, maybe masks are important.
Sure.
And calling us fascists, right? Literally, right? Like, this is a guy.
Dick.
Such a fucking asshole. I fucking hate this guy. He's the worst. He's the worst. There are no redeeming qualities about this man whatsoever. And I hate him.
You're really letting down the side, Dick. Come on.
Yeah. He really sucks a lot.
Ridiculous.
And he likewise
is
in the same situation where he's lying about what's going on and lied about the Capitol. For context, the whole reason that exchange started with Dr. Skinner is because there are a bunch of people on staff who want to see Rick Grinnell fired. The reason they want to see Rick Grinnell fired is specifically because he refused to condemn what happened to Congress.
Sure.
And the reason it matters more that he condemned what happened to Congress is because literally the same day as the Congress attack, he got onto the board of a Holocaust memorial. The same day, he got onto the board of a Holocaust memorial.
Okay.
And this is a guy who refuses to condemn when terrorists invade the Congress building with 6 million wasn't enough shirts on, with Camp Auschwitz shirts on. And so the place the Republican Party is at right now is not simply a place of, oh, we disagree on policy. No, the place we are on in terms of the Republican Party right now is these are terrorist supporters. Literally. These are people who are more than willing to accept terrorism in order to get their agenda passed. And that's a terrifying place. I don't quite know how to deal with it.
I don't know, because like what are they not willing to, like, what extent are they willing to go to like have their agenda, like like there's no there's no way to say what the limit is. And because of like what's happening, I fear that the limit is like very far, like very, 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 very far away from where we currently are, which is also very scary.
the thing is that limits are malleable. If
Right.
you asked Lindsey Graham if he'd ever support Trump after he said to grab him by the pussy
Sure.
stuff during the primary, his
Right.
answer was no.
Right.
If you asked Lindsey Graham, would you support Trump when Trump, keeps his hotel open and is funneling $600,000 plus
Right.
from foreign adversaries, right, into us through diplomats,
Right.
buying up rooms in a hotel owned by the president in order to speak with the president, he would say, of course not. There was a
Right.
time in his life where he would have said, of course not.
Right.
There was a time in the life of Ted Cruz where he would have said that when you call my wife a disgusting slob, that's enough, that I'm never going to deal with you again. I'm never going to like you again. I'm never going to support you again after you say that kind of stuff about Heidi Cruz.
Sure.
Well, that was a lie. That's
Yeah.
no longer the case.
It's no longer the case.
Either it was a lie at the time, or the facts on the ground have changed and he recognizes correctly that he would lose his seat.
Yeah.
If he didn't do that. And the reality of fascism, and I think it's safe at this point to call Trump a fascist.
Sure.
The reality of fascism is that it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't just
Yeah.
simply like one day there's not fascism, ta-da, now a fascist is elected, ta-da, now we have fascism. No,
Right.
It is a slow degradation of principles that happens over months, happens over years, happens over decades, happens over multiple presidencies.
Right.
And when I look at the future of the Republican Party, when I look at the really established and respected members of the party,
Mhm.
people like Dr. Skinner, who really know their shit,
Right.
really aren't stupid, really aren't
Yeah.
fascists, really
Yeah.
do disagree with me on foreign policy, but
Sure.
really aren't fascist and really aren't stupid. When people like her are associating themselves with people like Rick Grinnell, who for context is stupid, was a terrible ambassador to Germany, was a terrible acting director of national intelligence, was woefully incompetent, continues to be woefully incompetent, continues to be a stupid man, right?
Dick.
It scares me. It scares me that the
Yeah.
Romneys of the world are on their
It's
way out.
Very scary.
It scares me that the smart money is on Team Trump and not on Team McCain, and
Right.
not on Team, Romney, not on Team Kasich, not on Team whatever you want to call it.
Right.
The Republican Party as it existed. And by the way, I'm not saying I support the Republican Party as it existed under McCain, as
Sure.
it existed under Romney, but I am
Right.
saying that there's a huge difference between, the woman who came up to McCain and was like, hey, Obama's not an American, he's an Arab, and was saying, obviously racist shit about Obama. Sure. McCain's response was absolutely not. We disagree on policy, but he is absolutely an American. He loves our country, right. And go fuck yourself. Like, no, yeah. You don't get to say that about a senator, and you don't get to say that about the leader of the Democratic Party at that time.
Whereas right now,
there's no way Trump would say that.
Right. But Trump is the person who would say that Obama is not an American, and he was.
He was literally birthright. Right. He literally thought he was literally was for years talking about how Obama was born in Kenya.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how you can get more racist and more of a liar than saying that the first black president was born in Kenya when he obviously wasn't.
Right. So, like, my question is, and like, grapple with this on a daily, if not hourly, if not minutely basis, is what do we do as a country when one of the parties is objectively evil and the other party sees the other party as objectively evil? Like, how do you reconcile? Like, if you don't negotiate with terrorists in the same, like, you don't negotiate with like a fucking supervillain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how the fuck do we, like, what, like, is there even an answer to that?
So there's a okay. there's an answer that
Because I think the
there's an answer.
issue is that
There are some answers. Yeah, go for it.
the smart people like we were talking about are only going to get more radical, not even in their viewpoints, but in their actions, which, I mean, at that point, their viewpoints don't even really matter because it's what you do that matters,
Right.
not what you say. And so, like, it's just over time is just going to drive the two parties separate, like, further apart. And, like, it's going to take the smart people with them because they have to.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what you don't do.
Okay.
What you don't do is just cede ground.
Sure.
You don't give Dr. Skinner the commission she's looking for because she doesn't deserve that commission.
Right.
There's no argument by which that commission should exist.
Sure.
Because suggesting for a moment that you get to just question the legitimacy of every single election just because you didn't like that you lost,
right,
go fuck yourself. Absolutely not. That is disgusting.
Yeah.
It is disgusting. And she knows it's disgusting and she's calling for it anyway.
Right. Because you want the same power.
And you absolutely do not, make space at the table and pretend that there's respect deserved by people like Lindsey Graham, who literally, not like Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham was respectful, rather by people like Ted Cruz, who are literally willing to vote to overturn an election dutifully voted by literally more people than any other election in the history of our country. They didn't even steal a democratically elected, electorally victorious president who was dutifully and constitutionally came to power just because you don't like him. You can go fuck yourself, Ted Cruz. Like, there is no space for you within polite society ever again. You're disgusting. Genuinely disgusting. There is no coming back from that. There shouldn't be any coming back from that. So that's the first answer that I want to say.
Okay.
The truth is, I don't think I can say that.
No.
The truth is that he's still a senator.
Yeah.
And as much as he deserves to rot in hell, he's not gonna.
No.
He's gonna stay in the Senate.
Right.
And should we work damn hard to get him out? Absolutely. Yeah. Should we be, supporting whoever it is? And when I was younger, I didn't like this idea of the vote blue no matter who, because it seems partisan. It seems sort of overly simplistic. Blah 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 blah. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right? Like,
yeah. Because it on the surface level, it's like, no, you should do research. You should vote for the person who holds your closest values and for the person who would represent you the best, right?
Right.
But we've come to a point in time where that's just not the case.
Right.
Where like one party is going forwards and towards something evil and the other one isn't. And like,
it's not even that they're going to something good. I'm not going to pretend that.
Right. And like, good. Yeah. And it's not, it's just not evil. And it's like, that's the bare minimum. And then like, it sucks that that's the bare minimum that we're asking people to vote for not evil people. But like, that's what it is.
Right.
And it's like, I find it harder and harder to respect someone who is willing to say that they are a Republican or they have conservative values.
Right.
Just because you have to be responsible for what the party as a whole is doing.
Of course, sure.
And you have to say to yourself, like, am I okay with this? Because this is what... Right. If you're saying I am a Republican, you are signing on to maybe not the Capitol, but you're signing on to a lot of other bullshit that...
Yeah, if you vote for a Republican who voted to overturn the election of Joe Biden,
sure,
you are endorsing the Capitol.
Right.
You are.
Yeah.
Like, point blank, you are endorsing terrorism.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. I don't understand how space for nuance can be found there.
Yeah.
That said, we have to talk people down from the ledge. There have to be outs.
Are there though?
There have to be.
Because I feel like people are already jumping. Like, People have made up their mind, and they're like,
there have to continue to be ways for people like Skinner, who I'm confident she hates Trump. Sure. There's no question of course she does. She's not a stupid woman. She genuinely believes in conservative values. Trump doesn't believe in conservative values. I'm confident that she is existentially terrified of Trump, existentially terrified of what that whole ethos represents for the future of her party. Mm-hmm. There's no question in my mind. I mean, she's a really smart woman, and the same thing is true of Pompeo. The same thing is true of Lindsey Graham. The same thing is true of Kasich. The same thing is true of Romney. There's no question that there are intelligent, conservative Republicans who, while obviously I disagree with them, are genuinely American, genuinely have the best, believe that they have the best interests of our country at heart, and have no fucking idea how to get their party back.
Right.
And step one is to talk to them. Because when we kick people off Twitter, when we kick people to Parler, and then we just got rid of, earlier today, we got rid of Parler. Right. I guess we're going to be uploading this pretty soon, actually. I want to upload this soon because I want to talk about Dr. Skinner. So. So this is the 10th, and whenever you get this out, that's when you are. But on the 10th, Parler was literally taken off of Amazon Web Services, and they won't exist soon.
Sure.
I can't even imagine how stupid you have to be to think that's a good idea. I genuinely, I don't understand how you can think that you have the best interest of America in your heart if you think that taking a former president, actually, I redacted, current president,
off
of Twitter, and you think that that's going to spark anything other than violent response from his supporters. I don't want to say people are stupid, but I will, because they are.
Yeah.
You're stupid. If you think that's an okay thing to do, you're stupid. It's such a terrible idea, because you're taking away the ability for people like us to talk to people like them.
Right.
And what do you think is going to happen next?
Yeah. It's just going to become even more divided. If you don't even have a space to talk to the people, they're going to find an even nicher place to meet and congregate, and they're just going to become even more radicalized.
Of course.
And the same is going to happen in the other direction.
Of course. All of that is true. Obviously, that's true.
Right.
I mean, if you think that every Republican is a terrorist, Antifa makes sense.
Right.
Burning down targets. And to be clear, I do not at any level equate, Antifa with the Proud Boys, the literal neo-Nazis literally taking over the Capitol building.
Right.
But I'm not going to pretend that the left-wing, radicals aren't a problem, because they are.
Yeah.
They're absolutely a problem.
Yeah.
And they are the product of a divorced left and right, of a left and right that don't interact. And it's partly online, but it's also because of gerrymandering. It's increasingly in terms of Congress. No person in a gerrymandered district is scared of the other party. They're scared of a primary.
Right.
I mean, and
it's becoming more and more popular.
More and more.
Primary and races are becoming more and more, more money is going towards them, and more attention, more everything.
Right.
And it's just
it's I don't understand.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't even imagine the future of our country unless we get rid of gerrymandering. I can't even imagine the future of our country.
And the fucking Supreme Court won't even rule on it.
Right.
It's ridiculous. How do you say that, it's not my jurisdiction to decide in matters of Congress or whatever? And it's bitch, that's literally your job. It's literally in your job description.
Right.
Excuse me? It makes me so mad. Ugh.
Right.
Say that Congress has to solve a fucking gerrymandering. Like, of course they're not. Because why would they? It only benefits them. It only benefits them.
Right. They are the only people in the country that it benefits. It hurts every
Right.
single American other than the people who are currently serving in Congress.
Ugh.
They're literally the only people who are benefited.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to fix that. And we have to talk to Republicans. So I think we need to pull a Republican onto the show.
Okay.
I think we need to talk to them.
Okay. But so I think the other issue is that how do you, I think it is right that we need to talk with them. I think it is right that the simple act of inviting someone onto the show to talk with, or to even like inviting someone on Twitter to talk with you is helping. However, it's also like emotionally draining to argue with someone on the other side and to argue and to have a discussion like that. And so it's like, how do you do that without like killing yourself?
No, you're totally right. I mean, I think that there's two components to that. The first component is you're right that it's emotionally draining, but it's also emotionally draining for them, and it's also not particularly productive. I worry. I mean, like, you're much less online than I am. I'm very online.
Yeah.
So what you just saw was the screen captures of and I guess that we'll put it in the description. There's a very long email back and forth between Dr. Skinner and a bunch of faculty members of my school. And I sent it to Dylan Burns. Dylan Burns is I guess you'd call him a debate bro. There are a bunch of debate bros on Twitter and a bunch of debate bros on Twitch, which is where he's mostly at. There's also this guy called Destiny, Stephen Bennell, who's also like very, 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 very well known in the debate bro world. And I think that there's like a value to that, actually. I do think that there's like they do a pretty good job of interacting with other angry young men. Because I think there's a lot of angry young men who are Republican, who are conservative, not because like of any sort of fundamental understanding of conservative values or anything, but just because like they like the stylistic bombastity of someone like Trump. They like the the sort of angry, whatever you want to call it. And I don't want to like condemn that, because I don't care that much if you say curse words. I don't care that much if you're like insulting each other and making fun of each other and like whatever the fuck. Like, it just genuinely doesn't matter to me that much. I care about policy. And I do think there's a value of people like that. And I do also think that being someone like that is extremely draining. And I get why it drains people. And I also get why some people think that it's unproductive, although ultimately I disagree with them, that I think it can sometimes be productive dependent on who the audience is. I don't think that when you get into that argument that you yourself are likely to change your mind, or that the person that you're arguing with is likely to change their mind. I do think an audience is likely to change their mind. I do think that it has an effect on the audience. If you're trying to change people's mind by actually talking to them, I think you have to do it from a baseline of respect. A baseline of presumed goodwill. And that's really fucking hard. It's really hard to say to a person who's defending the Capitol attack that you respect them, that you take seriously their views, when they literally stormed the Capitol of the United States of America, literally with Confederate flags, literally are calling to lynch the vice president, their vice president, a Republican vice president. They wanted to lynch him. And it's really hard. And I don't deny that it's really hard, but I also would point out that it is our obligations as Americans to work to better our country. And the way that that happens is by talking with the other side. Which is hard.
It's hard. One last thing that bothers me. How is there anything that we can do about the kind of moral superiority amongst the Republican Party? Because I think that's what bothers me the most. I think.
I think that they think the same of us.
Right.
So when you talk about the moral superiority, what are you talking about exactly? Are you talking about like the how they assume that they're better Christians? Like, what are you talking about?
Like the fact that that their kind of view, or that their legislation or whatever is better, in terms of like Mitch McConnell not allowing Merrick Garland to become a justice, but like bending over backwards to admit Amy Coney Barrett into the Supreme Court, which on one hand I think was about racism, not allowing Barack Obama to do anything, but I think on the other hand is genuine. I disagree.
We may disagree on that, but I don't think that was about racism. I think that was about power.
Right, but then the other thing, it's like it's a power grab to literally do that, and to do that, you think your views are better, and like so much better than to like disregard. I guess there isn't a law, but like you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? To like to bend your power in such a way that allows you to and have your influence over the entire nation,
right?
Because you think that's what's best for them. It's like, excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think all of that is right. Bluntly, I'm not a part of Congress. I'm not a part of the Senate. I'm certainly not president. Sure. I don't think that we can, particularly right now, because an election isn't coming up all that soon. Right? It's going to be 2 years before the next congressional election.
Right.
Obviously, there are down ballot components that matter a lot
next year.
in a year, but they don't. We're not that close even to next November.
Sure.
This moment, I think, is a moment to talk to people who are in politics, but outside of the seats of power, who are similar to us, who are fellow, podcasters, fellow, whatever it is, writers, whoever the hell.
Sure.
But people who are on the outskirts of power, but are listened to by conservatives. I think that those are the people that need to be discussed with. I think those are the people who need to have an olive branch, shown their way, so that there are ways to say, yeah, actually, like, I understand that what Antifa did was bad, but like, let's be real. I mean, like, Antifa never stormed the Capitol. Antifa, didn't try to overturn an election.
Right.
That was my sneeze. Yeah.
So just talking with them and having a dialogue about being open and honest, I guess, about what the faults of both of the sides are, and discussing how do we bridge the gap, and how do we have
right. So with that said, we're gonna spend the next, I don't know how long, but we're gonna try to figure out some Republicans that we can bring onto the show, because we need to talk to some. I think that's important.
Yeah.
And you'll see that episode shortly.
Yeah.
Au revoir.
We'll see ya.